2024 Royal Rumble is in the books and the road to WrestleMania is officially here. And before you ask, because I'm just realizing I'm dressed up as this, I'm dressed up as Dirty Dominic Mysterio. This was a whole thing over on Twitch, twitch.tv/SantiZap. But we watched the Royal Rumble as a community with over 11,000 people watching at a time, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And here are my thoughts. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna like this because we upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's jump into things. So let's start things off by talking about the Women's Royal Rumble match. And I'm gonna tell you right off the get-go that I firmly believe that the Women's Royal Rumble match that we just witnessed wasn't just the best Women's Royal Rumble match of all time. I think that it's up there with one of the greatest Royal Rumble matches, period, in terms of how it was booked, the choreography, the surprises, the ending, just about everything about this Women's Royal Rumble just hit with me. The story that they told with Bayley going more or less the distance, going from number 3, staying in there for over an hour, and finally winning the big one. And Bayley is somebody that, for the most part, has always just sort of been the bridesmaid, but never the actual bride. Yes, she carried the WWE's women's division during the pandemic, but she never really got, I guess, the adoration that she ought to, like somebody like a Bianca Belair or Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch gets in a regular basis. We also had amazing out of nowhere shock appearances from Jordynne Grace, who is from TNA and is the current TNA women's champion over there. She's not some like independent wrestler free agent. No, she is like properly signed to TNA. That's bananas. That is an actual Forbidden Door moment that would have never happened under Vincent Kennedy McMahon. To me, the appearance of Jordynne Grace kind of just like demonstrates to the world that this is a new era of WWE, a new era of professional wrestling. On top of that, we had the amazing return of Naomi. For some weird reason, some people wanted her to be Trinity Fatu. Like, people know her as Naomi, and she is back feeling the glow. Not only that, but she also lasted in the Rumble for over an hour as well. Both her and Bayley broke Rhea Ripley's record in this Royal Rumble match. We had the return of Liv Morgan at number 30. We had Roxanne Perez make an appearance from NXT. We had Tiffany Stratton appear at number 29 and be part of the elimination of one of the biggest women's superstars in Bianca Belair. These things were just hitting. All of these things were just clicking for the entirety of the match. But the best narrative thread that we had throughout this entire match, and there were a lot of good ones, was Nia Jax. The story that they were telling with Nia Jax was just that she was this dominant force that couldn't be stopped, and there was no one that could possibly conceivably come close to stopping her. I don't know, as of the making of this video, whether or not she broke the record for single eliminations, but she had to have been close. Only for then at number 28, Jade Cargill making her debut in the WWE. And let me tell you, if there were any sort of concerns that Jade Cargill wasn't ready for the main roster, that Jade Cargill needs to go to NXT to season up, all of that was thrown out the window. However, I had one bit of skepticism, and that skepticism was how they were going to use her. As she walked to the ring, I said to the chat over on twitch.tv/SantiZap that there needs to be a star-making moment, because the majority of the people that were watching the Royal Rumble have never really been familiarized with Jade Cargill. The majority of fans have only seen how awesome she looks, how she's chiseled from marble and shaking hands with Triple H and whatnot. They don't know her time over in AEW. Again, that's the majority of the casual fans. Me, you, the people that are watching this, we know. We know. We're the losers. We're the marks. But you got to understand that 99% of people don't fall under that category. So for her to have a star-making moment in that Royal Rumble was going to be crucial, which is why the narrative of Nia Jax being this unstoppable monster was absolutely brilliant, because it gave Jade Cargill that moment, that kind of like Drew McIntyre eliminating Brock Lesnar moment at WrestleMania at Royal Rumble 2020. She was the one that tossed her ass out, picked her up a couple of times from the ground and eliminated her. Not only that, but then she would also be in the final 3 and be part of an awesome sequence between herself, Bayley, and Liv Morgan. That was a great final 3, by the way. I was on the edge of my ball sack for that final 3 because I really didn't know which way it was going to go. Because you could have gone Liv Morgan, who has a great narrative and a pretty decent story going into a potential feud with Rhea Ripley. It was Rhea Ripley that injured her. And then there's also, of course, Jade Cargill. I think instant star-making opportunity right there. Send her to WrestleMania. Whatever, that could have worked too. But then Bayley's narrative just made the most sense. And WWE didn't need to reinvent the wheel here. They went with the one that made the most sense. Bayley made the most sense. And all of us are happy about it because it was a very good Royal Rumble showing from her. It was a very good Royal Rumble match. And she's going to get a moment that we all really, truly believe that she deserves. Kudos to the WWE. Whoever wrote or produced this Royal Rumble, absolutely brilliant. Out of this world. So good. If there is only one match that you're going to go back to and watch for this Royal Rumble, it's this one. And frankly, I'm at the point where I believe that this Rumble was so well produced. It had so many great surprises. The winner was such a great winner that I think this should have main evented. I get that why the men main evented, sure. But like, if I'm just comparing apples to apples, which match if the best match should go on last, it should have been this one. This match was absolutely freaking brilliant. Brilliant from head to toe. Do not have much more amazing things to say about this. You need to go and watch this match. Huge colossal thumbs up from me. This is a fantastic showcase of women's wrestling. One more thing that I'll add, absolute W that there were no returning legends. This was an ask that I've been having leading up to this Women's Royal Rumble, that past Women's Royal Rumble matches are just filled to the brim with legends coming back. And sometimes it's like as high as 10 legends in one Royal Rumble. You got Lita, you got Ivory, you got Molly Holly, Trish Stratus, Candice Michelle. So many people just coming out of the woodwork that you know are never going to win. And that kind of spoils everything because it really narrows the field. This Royal Rumble just demonstrated just how stacked from head to toe women's wrestling in the WWE is. There is no women's division that even comes close to this. What I will push back with people is that a lot of people were kind of bummed out that Liv Morgan was number 30. If I had to change things around with only the women that we had in this Rumble, I probably would have gone Liv Morgan 28, Jade Cargill 30. That's nitpicking this Rumble. Absolutely nitpicking, because aside from that, it was absolute perfection. And the only reason that I make this suggestion is because number 30, for some reason, had these wild, ludicrous expectations of it being like Mercedes Moné or AJ Lee. And had it been Jade Cargill, it would have at least sufficed the, oh, we haven't seen this before kind of feel in the megastar aura. And I just don't think that Liv Morgan provided that to fans, which is why some people online were kind of clowning it. I don't think it's the worst call, but that's the one thing I would have changed about this Rumble. Again, overall thumbs up. The next match, if you can believe it, is in contention for like one of the worst matches of the night, which was the Fatal 4-Way match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship between Roman Reigns, the champion, taking on AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. Let's start with the positives. There were numerous moments where the way that this was choreographed as a Fatal 4-Way was absolutely brilliant. For example, there was a moment where Randy Orton was RKOing the ever-living Christ out of everybody. And obviously, that looks great when you have that many people to actually be able to RKO. There was a moment where all three guys were stacked on one another. AJ Styles goes in for the pin to try and get a triple stack victory, only for all three guys to kick out. I love the narrative of the beginning of all three guys ganging up on Roman Reigns. However, that narrative didn't really last. It kind of subsided after really the first 5 minutes. And that actually is a shame, considering this ended up becoming, for some weird reason, your traditional Roman Reigns match where there's interference from the bloodline. And look, that is far and away my biggest gripe with this match. So if you didn't watch it, this is the sequence where Randy Orton is RKOing the ever-living Christ out of everybody. The last person that he RKOs is Roman Reigns that's going for a spear. Randy catches him with an RKO. 1, 2, just before the 3, Solo Sikoa pulls Randy. And immediately, like, when they did that back with, like, Drew McIntyre, I was like, oh, my goodness, clutching my pearls. Who could this be? Absolutely crazy. But this time it's like, bro, we've seen this movie play out time and time and time again. And it didn't need to, because there's literally 3 guys that can give Roman an out where he can still win in a sleazy way without the bloodline getting involved. And what's even more dumb is that the whole concept of a fatal 4-way, 3 baby faces, should be enough to prevent like the bloodline getting involved. I just hated it. And here's the thing. Solo getting involved really only saved Roman from that pin. The match then went on as normal, and Roman Reigns won more or less clean. So just have it end the way that you had it ending without Solo getting involved. You had it fine. It was okay. It wasn't great. You know, it wasn't gonna burn down the world with how good it was, but you fucked it up with Solo getting in there and helping Roman, even if it wasn't all that much. It's like we want to see Roman just win one without the bloodline. I get it. He's a heel, but you're also selling him to us as the greatest of all time. It's tough to pitch him to us as the greatest of all time if you're just gonna have him win in nefarious ways every single time. I gotta say that this fatal 4-way, I will appreciate and say that I love that LA Knight did not take the pin. I think out of everyone, he was the only one that couldn't afford to take one. AJ Styles and Randy Orton are so established that nothing can hurt them. But LA Knight is still teetering, right? Something like a pin could potentially derail him. And I'm glad that they recognized that and they didn't make him take the pin. AJ Styles ended up taking the pin. I'm going to say thumbs down. And maybe it's also a thumbs down because it was next to the absolutely fantastic Women's Royal Rumble match. So if you can believe it, this third match, Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens, already has us through 75% of the show because there was only 4 matches. And I did, I know we're kind of getting sidetracked here. I kind of appreciated that. I did like the fact that they didn't draw out this show. However, I will say, I wouldn't have minded a world where maybe it was just a 2-hour show and it was just the 2 Royal Rumble matches. Anyways, that's just a thought for me. It doesn't matter. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship ended exactly how I believe it should have ended, but they caught me completely off guard. The match itself was actually very good. Logan Paul, I know I keep saying this just about every single time that Logan Paul has a match, but how in the ever-living fuck is he that good? And now it's not even to the point where he's impressing us with his physical abilities. He's impressing us with his amazing in-ring psychology. You can hear him trash talk and it's amazing. Like Kevin Owens goes for a swanton, misses it. And then he goes, oh yeah, I can do that too. He goes for a swanton, misses it. Brilliant. Then he has Kevin Owens up for a superplex in the top rope. He turns and looks at the commentary table and Corey Graves and says, oh, you said that I wasn't capable of superplexing Kevin Owens. Watch this. Only for then Kevin Owens, of course, to counter it into his classic move from the top rope. Logan Paul, my goodness, he's just so good. He's just so good. And I get it. You can hate him for all of the awful stuff he's done outside of the WWE. You're probably seeing a bunch of Logan Paul emotes here of like the whole thing that happened in Japan. If you don't like Logan Paul outside of the WWE, I won't talk you out of it. He's not the greatest dude. However, when it comes to wrestling and in the WWE, he's just phenomenal. And here's the thing, his dancing partner, Kevin Owens, like this has just been a glazing session of Logan Paul. Kevin Owens is so amazing as well. This man is doing things that, I'm being perfectly honest, he doesn't look like he's capable of doing. And yet he pulls these fantastic moves from out of nowhere. And they're so clean and so crisp. And he had such good chemistry with Logan Paul throughout this entire match. In terms of the in-ring work, I thought it was phenomenal. The climax of this match was Logan Paul hitting the one lucky punch and going in to pin Kevin Owens, and no one has kicked out of the one lucky punch, only for Kevin Owens to finally be the first one to kick out of it. Of course, magical Logan Paul, again, a little bit more glazing, with his great facial expressions, groveling, not being able to believe what's happening. And then one of Logan Paul's cronies comes in to try and give him the brass knuckles. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory then come out, and then they give Logan Paul the brass knuckles, which, by the way, Logan Paul has re-signed with the WWE, and apparently it's going to be a more closer to full-time deal. So we're going to be seeing a lot more Logan Paul on weekly television. And I hope that means a proper faction between all three of those guys, because that would be great. In the process of Logan Paul trying to hit Kevin Owens with the brass knuckles, Kevin Owens is actually able to MacGyver and John Wick the brass knuckles away from Logan Paul. And then he hits Logan Paul with the brass knuckles and goes to get the victory. 1, 2, 3, only for the ref to literally in the last millisecond, I'm talking, he was so close to the mat to count 3 that you could have probably fit my nutsack, just the skin under there. That's how close it was to it being a 3. And the referee's like, nope, I see those brass knuckles. Disqualifies Kevin Owens. Logan Paul wins. I said that Logan Paul needed to find some creative way to win with shenanigans. This was freaking brilliant. This was not what I had in mind. It was an absolutely brilliant booking decision by the WWE. It was kind of like a heist. Logan Paul getting away with it. It was brilliant. And it sets us up for an eventual rematch between these two. And I cannot wait for it, because if they go on to have an even better match, it's going to be an absolute banger, because this one was already very good. Thumbs up. This was very good. And now let's go into the main event of the evening, which was the men's Royal Rumble match. A match that I think had way too high of expectations. A match that I believe ultimately was a little too safe. And at the very end, we'll get to in just a minute, was a little too self-indulgent. I'll get to what I mean by that. Let's talk about the good first, okay? Jimmy and Jey Uso starting the Royal Rumble, absolutely fantastic. Brilliant choice. Yeet versus no yeet, red versus blue, Jimmy versus Jey, brother versus brother. This is the WrestleMania match preview, a match that we're all clamoring for. Absolutely brilliant decision to have these guys be 1 and 2. Huge thumbs up there. The only major return here is the return of Andrade, which is a huge return. I almost kind of undersold that and said, oh, the only return. No, this is a huge return. Andrade returning back from AEW is a huge coup for the WWE, because Andrade could have gone to Mexico and been a huge star there. Honestly, let's just count our lucky blessings that he's with Charlotte, because that's probably honestly the biggest reason why he signed with the WWE, because he could have gone anywhere that he wanted to. And Andrade was very good in this match. He looks like $1 million, man. He looks so fantastic. Not that he ever looked like a slouch, but physically he looked so good. The other big highlight that I'm gonna shout here is R-Truth. And honestly, R-Truth wasn't even just a highlight of this Royal Rumble match. He was a highlight of the night. Literally the entire thing. I forgot to mention that he tried to enter the women's Royal Rumble at number 24 because he thought it was his turn, only to get in there and realize it's all women. That was friggin' hilarious. And then he comes out at 24 for the men's Royal Rumble match and thinks that it's a tag team match because Rey Mysterio's Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dominic Mysterio was in there, and he's waiting for a hot tag. And the crowd claps like we're waiting for him to get a hot tag. It was absolutely brilliant. He even saves Dominic Mysterio from being eliminated. I think I can firmly say that as humans, we don't deserve the legend that is R-Truth. He is so good. He is phenomenal. He ended up getting eliminated, of course, by Damian Priest, but that was awesome. Braun Breaker, one of two members of the NXT roster, the other one being Carmelo Hayes. I really want to Trick Williams. That Trick entrance would have hit hard in that Royal Rumble. But Carmelo Hayes was great in there. Braun Breaker looked like, oh my God, he looked like a destroyer of worlds, to the point where I was a little concerned how hard they were pushing him. I was like, damn, he's going to do some damage, absolute damage on the main roster whenever he does inevitably show up. Pat McAfee was in the Royal Rumble. It ended up being a bit of a wasteful spot. He went in, Braun Breaker and Omos are in there. He's like, nope, and then eliminates himself. There's some conspiracy theories that believe that this might have actually been Brock Lesnar's spot. And they're like, okay, well, Pat, just go in and out and get out of there. Which reminds me, Omos returned, which is nice to see Omos back in the WWE. I know he's been working the house show circuit, but it's good to have him back, especially going into WrestleMania. I don't know what their plans for him are going to be. Things seem a little bit hectic, but it's just nice to have the Nigerian giant back. CM Punk came out to a huge ovation, and then Sami Zayn at number 30, which I really like Sami Zayn being number 30. A lot of people in my chat were saying L Sami Zayn, L30. And frankly, the only reason we're saying that is because of the weird expectations that we put on that number 30 spot, thinking that it's going to be like MJF or Okada. And none of that really is fair to boo Sami Zayn over. I think Sami Zayn returning from the short medical hiatus that he had, it was fantastic. What I will say is that I don't think it was a poor decision to have him on number 30. I think it was a poor decision of how they used him coming out at number 30, because he ended up really not being a threat. Another highlight that I'll mention was Gunther. Gunther was an absolute animal in this, just chopping people to the ends of the earth and back. Now let's talk about the ending, because I really feel like the ending is where this Rumble match lost me. And it lost me because it tried to be too much when it didn't need to. I think that the producers of this Royal Rumble match thought it was gonna be better than what it ended up being. And I think that they thought that they were putting together some sort of like super monumental moment, when I think ultimately it just exposed CM Punk. And I say that as a huge CM Punk fan. The final four were CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and of course, CM Punk. Drew McIntyre and Gunther were eliminated by Cody Rhodes and CM Punk respectively. And they lasted, it was like about, 5 minutes before it was just CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Here's the problem. They tried to recreate the 2007 Royal Rumble, where it was Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker for like 15 minutes in there, putting together a fucking classic, a sneak peek preview of what the amazing WrestleMania 25 and 26 match would go on to be. And they tried to do that with Cody versus CM Punk, and it fell flat. It was slow. It was sluggish, frankly. And again, I'm saying this as somebody that really likes CM Punk. CM Punk just did not look like himself out there. I felt like he was sort of missing a step. It sort of felt like Cody was kind of carrying things. I think the best way that I can explain it is that it sort of felt like I was trying to go through a bog with knee-high water. Their chemistry was non-existent, which is a little concerning, because I think there's inevitably going to be a feud between those two. It's a shame, because their on-mic chemistry, their presence together is out of this world. It's incredible. But that in-ring chemistry, it left a lot to be desired. And 3 minutes in, I'm like, this is taking a while. Like 5 minutes into that one-on-one, I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, oh God, that's when I realized that they're trying to recreate The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, where they're basically going to have an entire match to end the Royal Rumble match. And they lost me like 3/4 of the way. I'm like, okay, let's wrap this up, fellas. Let's call it a night. Do I think that the right person won? Spoiler, Cody Rhodes won. I have a tough time agreeing to a 2-time Rumble winner back to back. However, this is the first time in my lifetime as a wrestling watcher that I've witnessed this. It's literally this. So this is uncharted territory for me. I know that it's happened before with Austin, Hogan. I wasn't watching wrestling back then. So this is the first time I'm witnessing this. To me, it seems like sacrilege to win back-to-back Rumbles. But if it was between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, I think they made the right call. I think it should have been Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes looked great. CM Punk didn't. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. What I saw is what I saw. And again, you can disagree here. The comment section here is weirdly not toxic. It's actually pretty chill. So feel free to jump in there. But that's my gut reaction. That's what I witnessed. Now, mind you, I wanted Gunther to win. I wanted Gunther to win. And had Gunther won, I would have been like, woo, to the ends of the earth and back, baby. Gunther, WrestleMania, let's go. So we didn't get what I wanted, but that's okay. You know, you don't always get what you want. So I guess I'm okay with the decision if it was between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. But overall, the Rumble was, it's a tough one to grade because I've seen bad Rumbles. Bad Rumbles. This is not one of them. But I think the reason I'm being so harsh on this is because the women fucking knocked it out of the park. So I think I'm still gonna give this a thumbs up, but the women's Rumble is like 45,000 thumbs up compared to this. And again, when people are like, this was the worst Rumble ever, just go back and watch 2022. Go back and watch 2016, 2015, 2014. We've seen worse. We have seen much, much worse. We have seen the bottom of the barrel, and I promise you, it's not it. This is maybe a 6 out of 10 Rumble, 5 out of 10 Rumble, but it's not the worst Rumble you've ever seen. Oh, welcome to the road to WrestleMania, folks. It's real. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Take care, be good people, get out of here.